Okay, so get this today. We're going deep on Anna Sorokin.
Anna Delvey.
Yeah, the infamous fake heiress. You've
Mwah.
seen the Netflix series for sure, but get ready for the real deal because we've got court documents, articles, even some marketing materials for that art foundation she was trying to launch.
Oh, yeah, that ambitious but totally bogus art foundation.
Exactly.
It really raises the question of perception, doesn't it? How did someone with zero, apparent wealth or connections infiltrate the upper crust of New York society and for so long?
Seriously, it's like she cracked the code of a world totally obsessed with wealth and status.
It's fascinating.
You look at her early life.
Yeah, let's do that.
Born in Russia, raised in Germany, went to Catholic school, obsessed with Vogue.
Vogue magazine.
Yeah, not your typical con artist backstory, is it?
Not at all. It really challenges those preconceived notions.
Right.
This isn't some, hardened criminal mastermind coming out of nowhere. But think about it, that background, the emphasis on always wanting more a glimpse into the world of luxury, could that have been the perfect breeding ground for her later schemes?
You're blowing my mind right now.
Am I?
Okay, so after high school, she bounces around a bit.
A bit.
London, Paris, interning in fashion, before she ends up in New York City around 2013.
Okay.
And that's when things go crazy.
New York City, land of opportunity.
Right, or in Anna's case, the land of opportunity for deception.
That's one way to put it.
Her big plan was this whole private arts club and foundation thing, right? The Anna Delvey Foundation.
Precisely. But here's where it gets interesting. To sell her vision, she created this super detailed brochure, complete with big-name architects and artists.
Sounds legit.
Except some of them had absolutely no clue they were involved.
Wait, she just made it all up.
Pretty much. This detail, I think, really speaks volumes about her audacity and her willingness to just fabricate connections. Was it pure con artistry? Or was it a desperate, almost delusional attempt to, will her dream into existence?
And she actually got a $100,000 overdraft from a bank using promised wire transfers that, of course, never materialized.
Classic con artist tactic right there.
Yeah.
Creating this illusion of wealth to gain trust and get that money. But was this calculated manipulation from the get-go? Or did it come from growing desperation as her schemes, spiraled out of control?
My head's spinning. I mean, she's living this crazy, lavish lifestyle, luxury hotels, exclusive restaurants, a $500 an hour personal trainer.
$500 per session.
Per session.
And she rarely paid for any of it.
Wow.
Think about that for a second. She charmed, she convinced, she made all these promises about paying people back that almost never happened. Was this some carefully crafted persona to exploit people's generosity? Or was it this warped belief that her success was just around the corner, justifying her means?
Okay, this is where things get really messy. The Morocco trip with Rachel Williams, the photo editor from Vanity Fair.
Yeah.
All expenses paid, luxury vacation, right?
Right, but this incident is crucial because it pulled someone outside of Anna's immediate social circle into her web of lies. When Anna's credit card got declined and Rachel stuck with the bill,
How much was it?
a whopping $60,000. The consequences of Anna's actions became impossible to ignore. This wasn't just playing pretend anymore. This was real-life victims.
Wow. I cannot imagine being in Rachel's shoes. And this was all before the Netflix series, right?
Exactly. This wasn't manufactured drama for TV. This was real-life fallout from Anna's actions playing out in the media.
But the Morocco trip wasn't her only misstep, right? Bouncing from hotel to hotel, unpaid bills, even allegedly trying to get a multi-million-dollar loan using forged documents. It's like she was constantly upping the ante.
It does make you wonder, was this a calculated escalation of her schemes? Or was it the desperate flailing of someone whose carefully constructed facade was beginning to crumble?
And then it all came crashing down in 2017 when she was finally arrested.
The turning point.
Yeah.
The legal system enters the picture, forcing a reckoning for her actions.
Charged with attempted grand larceny theft of services, leading to a very, very public trial in 2019.
And even during the trial, she maintained this air of defiance.
Really?
Yeah, almost like she thought she was playing by a different set of rules.
It's like when she said if she could go back in time, she wouldn't change a thing.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Was that genuine a lack of remorse, or was she clinging to her made-up reality, even when faced with overwhelming evidence of her wrongdoing?
And then in an interview before sentencing, she expresses remorse, but also says she always intended to pay everyone back. It's hard to tell what was real and what was a calculated attempt to get a lighter sentence.
Exactly. This conflicting narrative makes it really difficult to pinpoint her true motives. Is she a master manipulator playing the victim card? Or is she a tragically misguided soul who genuinely believed her own hype?
And remember, this is all before the Netflix series Inventing Anna, which took her story to a whole new level of public awareness.
The series adds another layer of complexity, blurring the lines between fact and fiction, fueling public fascination. But we'll get into that a little later. For now, let's focus on Anna's life after prison and her attempts to, as she puts it, reinvent herself.
Okay, let's get into that. She was released early from prison in February 2021.
And boom, she's back on Instagram like prison was just a quick little break.
It's insane, right?
Yeah.
You can't make this stuff up. It's like she was picking up right where she left off, only with a way bigger audience this time. But wait, wasn't she supposed to be laying low?
You'd think right, but her freedom was short-lived. ICE swooped in and detained her for overstaying her visa, adding yet another chapter to her legal saga. It's like real-world consequences just kept catching up no matter how hard she tried to run from them.
Almost as if she couldn't help herself. She just had to have that attention, even if it meant risking even more legal trouble.
That's a great point. Her social media presence is so fascinating, isn't it? Even when she was banned, she kept posting, showing off the seemingly lavish lifestyle, and it sparked a whole debate about whether she'd actually changed. Was she really trying to turn over a new leaf, or was it all just another act?
Okay, let's talk about that art show she hosted from her apartment while under house arrest.
Oh yeah, free Anna Delvey.
An exhibition of art inspired by Anna herself. Talk about turning lemons into lemonade.
It was quite the spectacle art, priced between $10,000 and $25,000 a pop, with some of the proceeds supposedly going to her victims. Was this a genuine attempt to make amends, or just a carefully calculated PR move?
Hard to say. And then there's that whole NFT collection, Reinventing Anna. It's like she's taking control of her story this time in the digital realm.
NFTs, those unique digital assets have become a way for people to own their stories and potentially make money from them. And for Anna, it was almost predictable. It suggests she's really tuned into what's hot right now and that she wants to cash in on her notoriety, wouldn't you say?
Definitely a bold move. But before we go too far down the post-prison Anna rabbit hole, let's rewind for a sec. We've touched on the Art Foundation scam and the Morocco trip, but what about some of her other alleged cons?
One that really stands out is the whole forged bank statement thing. A whopping $40 million, supposedly, to secure loans and convince people of her fake wealth.
Whoa, $40 million. Did it actually work?
Believe it or not, yes. This document allowed her to play the financial system, convincing banks and investors that she was rolling in dough. It really shows you how well she understood financial loopholes and how bold she was in taking advantage of them.
Mind-blowing how she pulled it off for so long. Okay, let's talk trial. What was her defense strategy?
Her lawyers tried to paint her as this ambitious entrepreneur who just made some mistakes, emphasizing that she always planned to pay everyone back. They argued she was basically a product of a culture obsessed with wealth and status, someone who got swept up in a game she didn't fully understand.
So playing the victim of circumstance card.
Exactly, but the prosecution saw right through it. They argued her actions were deliberate and calculated, pointing out a clear pattern of deception and manipulation, reminding the jury that this was not a victimless crime and that her elaborate schemes had real and devastating consequences.
And in the end, the jury sided with the prosecution. But even after sentencing, her story kept evolving, released from prison early, detained by ICE for overstaying her visa. It's a never-ending story.
It really is, and through it all, she's maintained this curious presence on social media, even when she was banned. Was it defiance? A need for attention? A strategic move to stay relevant? It's hard to say.
Speaking of staying relevant, let's circle back to Inventing Anna, that Netflix series that really blew her story up.
Yeah, it's become a cultural phenomenon, hasn't it? Sparking all these conversations about truth and lies, the allure of fame, the ethics of profiting from real-life crime. It's amazing how a show can totally reframe how we see someone like Anna Sorokin.
Inventing Anna definitely made her a household name, but how much of it was actually true?
That's where it gets tricky. While the series is based on a real article, it definitely takes some creative liberties, for example. It exaggerates Anna's wealth and connections, including that $60 million trust fund, which was never actually confirmed, and it downplays the roles of some people in her schemes, focusing mostly on Anna and her relationship with the journalist Vivian Kent, who's based on the real journalist who wrote the original article.
It's almost like the series itself becomes part of the con, further blurring the lines between fact and fiction.
Exactly. And while the series does acknowledge the fictionalization, it leaves viewers to figure out what's real and what's been jazzed up for entertainment purposes, which raises questions about the ethical responsibility of creators when adapting true stories, especially when those stories involve victims.
Right. On the one hand, you want to create a compelling narrative, but on the other, you have a duty to be truthful and to think about the impact on the real people involved.
That tension is really at the core of the inventing Anna phenomenon, isn't it? The series brought her story to a huge audience, no doubt, but it also made us wonder if the entertainment value is worth the potential harm to those who are directly affected by her actions. Where do we draw the line?
So much to consider. Inventing Anna might have been a hit, but it also sparked some important conversations about ambition wealth and how far some people are willing to go to achieve their dreams. It's like a twisted reflection of our own cultural values.
And that reflection is what makes Anna Sorokin's story so compelling. It forces us to confront our own fascination with wealth status and the people who embody those aspirations, even when they get there through deception. It's like holding a mirror up to society and asking, what are we celebrating? What are we willing to turn a blind eye to?
It's almost like she's created a brand out of infamy, like a platform. She's still got people's attention, even from house arrest. Yeah, and it makes me wonder, are we as a society too quick to forgive people who've committed crimes, especially when they're, charismatic and good with the media? Have we gotten to the point where we're just numb to the real-life consequences of their actions?
That's a really good question. I mean, the lines between villain and anti-hero are definitely getting blurrier. And with social media amplifying everything, someone like Anna can really control their own narrative in a way that wasn't possible before.
Totally. Her story really highlights how important it is to be critical of the information we consume, especially in the digital age.
Yeah.
We need to question the motives of people who are trying to profit from their notoriety.
Absolutely. It's easy to get caught up in the spectacle, but we can't forget that real people were hurt by her actions.
Right.
So, looking back at our deep dive today, we've covered Anna's early life, her elaborate schemes, her conviction, her time in prison, her activities after being released, and even the Netflix series that made her a global sensation. It's been quite a ride.
It really has. And through it all, we've been grappling with that central question: is she a mastermind con artist or a dreamer who just got in over her head?
And as we've discussed, the answer is probably more complex than a simple yes or no. Anna Sorokin's story is this tapestry woven from ambition, deception, charisma, and that undeniable allure of wealth and status. It's a story about the power of appearances and the lengths people will go to get what they want, even if it means twisting the truth and hurting others along the way.
It's crazy how perception can often be more powerful than reality. Anna understood that, and she used it brilliantly to create a persona that allowed her to break into a world obsessed with image and exclusivity.
Her story is definitely a cautionary tale, but it's also a fascinating look at human nature. It makes you wonder, what is it about people like Anna Sorokin that we find so captivating?
Maybe it's how bold her schemes were, or the blurred lines between what's real and what's made up, or even the way her story taps into our own desires and anxieties about wealth and social status.
It could be all of those things, but one thing's for sure, Anna Sorokin's story is a stark reminder to be wary of anyone who tries to take advantage of our dreams and to question the stories we're told, especially when they seem too good to be true. Because as we've learned, looks can be incredibly deceiving.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Anna Delvey, what's the main takeaway for our listeners? What can they learn from all of this?
I think it's a reminder that we all have a responsibility to be discerning, to think critically about the information that comes our way, and to question the motives of people who are trying to influence us, because in a world where image is everything, it's getting harder and harder to separate the true visionaries from the con artists.
Well said. Anna Sorokin's story is a cautionary tale, but it's also a captivating exploration of ambition and the allure of illusion. It's a story that will stick with us long after we're done, prompting us to examine our own values and to question the systems that enable figures like Anna to rise to the top.
And it leaves us with a final thought-provoking question to ponder in a world obsessed with wealth and status. How can we tell the difference between genuine vision and calculated deception? And even more importantly, are we as a society playing a role in creating the very environment that allows these individuals to flourish?
Wow, what a question to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.